Alright, so understanding, identifying, and supporting ADHD, whether that be through medication or therapy, is life-changing. And yes, as well, don't worry, I will be putting this in Rocket League terms further on for all you degenerates to understand. Misunderstanding, or on the other hand, not identifying if you have ADHD, leads to so much blaming yourself, self-hatred, and basically just a really bad form of depression. I'm mainly creating this as a resource, a talk that I wish was given to me when I was younger. The resulting depression and mental health issues that hit me like a truck were due to a misunderstanding of how I actually worked. As a kid, ADHD was never on the table for me. I was suffering, but really never got an explanation that would have truly helped me. I wasn't informed nor told that it was possible that something could be wrong, because in everyone else's eyes, I snuck by. I was just lazy, I didn't apply myself. For ADHD, your cards are different, your functioning is fundamentally different. Having your legs chopped off through thinking you work the same as everyone else is an absolute snowball effect. It's a destructive feedback loop, and hopefully with this I can help people not feel so alone with their issues, stop people suffering the same way that I did. Okay, so the first thing to understand is that ADHD is causative of depression. That is to say that those with ADHD are at a much greater risk of developing mental health issues. Wrap your head around this, alright? 96% of people with ADHD go on to develop depression. What's the reverse of that? 30% of people with depression find out they have ADHD. Early on in my childhood, I concluded that I was an idiot compared to everyone else. They had the same workload that I did, but I couldn't handle it. This, in turn, kick-started an inferiority complex. In my head, I was worse than everyone else. I was fast-tracked into depression at 15? I concluded that I was the issue. And honestly, to me, it was pretty logical. All of my peers had energy left over. They were functioning and achieving results. For me, oblivious to my ADHD, I was doing exactly what everyone else was doing, but I was the only one exhausted. I couldn't take the constant stress. I had no concept that everyone else wasn't struggling and stressing the way I was. Others were able to study 4 hours and achieve 4 hours of actual work. They weren't stressed and exhausted by the end of it. For me, I was barely holding on. I would sit there for 4 hours and only function for the last hour. Was I really that lazy? Do lazy people destroy themselves with stress? No, of course they don't. Unbeknownst to me, I only functioned at the very last minute, stressing the whole way there. I didn't intentionally do this, but it's how ADHD works, something I like to call panic environment functioning. Functioning only when it's do or die. Fluking exams was not a fluke. It's a key explanation for how ADHD works, something I wish I'd known. You are not an idiot. Fundamentally, you just work differently. You repeat the same cycle of last-minute function, which constantly reinforces this habit of only functioning in a panic environment. Ever wonder why you always squeaked by in school? You only ended up doing 1 hour of study after 4 hours of absolute stress, but somehow you got a passing grade. This is because with ADHD, you function perfectly in these survival situations. Knowing this, guess what your brain does? It waits. It waits for these survival situations. In the meantime though, you not knowing this is how you work, stress the hell out of yourself because you're running out of study time. You are genetically built to function your absolute best in these panic environments. You actually function way better than others here. Understanding this, working with it, and accepting it is fundamental. Time and time again, I'd stay up all night long, forcing myself to work, sitting there, stressed out of my mind, watching myself do nothing. Unconsciously, my brain was just waiting for the last minute. It knew how I functioned. I was hating myself until finally, 7 hours in, at 5 AM in the morning, I'd done 2 hours of work. But those 2 hours were equivalent to 4 hours for other people. I did this for every test. That much stress at a young age is horrible. I thought that everyone else suffered like I did, but they got A grades and weren't dying from stress. The obvious conclusion for me at that age was I was an idiot. I thought everyone else had the same cars that I had. The resulting depression from comparing my results and stress to others was horrid. I squeaked by, and because of that, nobody noticed something was wrong. The hundreds of times I'd hear, maybe if he worked harder, maybe if he applied himself. I wasn't applying myself. You can't be serious, right? This reinforcement from others about my lack of effort fed a cycle of self-hatred. Okay, so if I'm not applying myself, I'll do 8 hours instead of 4, right? 8 hours of stress, staring at my work, and I'm even more exhausted. Guess what? I only did work for the last 2 hours. Hopefully by now, you relate to this cycle. It's finally time to put it in Rocket League terms. You are a very special Champ 2 player. When you have 0 boost, you are functioning in a survival environment, a panic situation. You, with ADHD, are naturally incredible with 0 boost. The plays that you pull off are SSL tier, twice as good as everyone else in your rank. Because of this, you reinforced over and over again this habit of unconsciously trying to get to 0 boost, because that's where you function best. When you do have boost, you suck. Diamond 1 at best, absolute dog water of a player, right? The only reason you don't demote from champ is because of how well you play with 0 boost. You squeak by because of panic environment functioning. People accept that maybe you're just a mid player. There's nothing wrong with you. I mean, you pull off amazing things sometimes. Other players without ADHD can utilize 100 boost as if they had 0. Basic champ gameplay all around. They don't hesitate, they don't stress about failing because they aren't forced to panic to play good. They don't have the need to default back to 0 boost because when they have 100, they're as good as they are with 0. You, on the other hand, don't mean to, but you're tapping boost, avoiding pads, trying to get to 0, stressing about running out of boost the whole way there. You functioned your best in panic environments, so obviously your brain tries to put you in one. You see the loop, right? You see how backwards it is when you don't understand how you work. In the end, because you don't understand what you're doing, you blame yourself. To you, you're just a bad player. But listen, you're not looking at how amazing you are in these panic environments. There's potential once you understand how you work. ADHD is literally a handicap, but it can also be an advantage. Your teammates are telling you to just go for it. In their eyes, you pull off amazing saves that they could never do with 0 boost, so nobody really realizes there's a problem. Your advantage masks your weakness. Your brain functions at a level greater than others, but only in high stress environments. You needed to wait until you were in these high stress environments just so you could function. In return though, your mental health is destroyed. In scrims, you are washed. On LAN, you're cracked. But because you wasted scrim time stressing, which is not your fault, you're actually mid on LAN. ADHD is excelling in panic control, level-headed in the worst of situations, but ADHD is also being horrible at damage prevention. This is why stimulants used to treat ADHD work so well. They force your brain to function as if you were in a panic environment. You're able to think level-headed for once. You're calm. You can organize the stress. Over time, you taught yourself that believing things won't work out is the only way for you to achieve. And that wasn't your fault. You weren't informed. As you can imagine, in the long run, with university and work environments, you need to function at a constant. This is where ADHD breaks you. Treatment and medication are crucial. Suddenly, everything in life is a LAN situation. People usually discover they have ADHD at this point because every other explanation for their exhaustion is exhausted. Severe depression while everyone else is happy. Deadlines are breaking you. Assignments are breaking you. How many things can you do last second before it all collapses? In the end, just be conscious of how you actually work. Look for support. You need it. You are different. You need to accept that. Don't let yourself default to zero boost. You know that you can function at zero boost, so screw it. Try your best at improvement. Once you know where you fail, you can try to fix it. Medication is a huge support. Understanding why it helps is equally as important. You're finally able to function outside of a panic environment. It is life-changing. Why do you think for ADHD sufferers, stimulants seem to fix their depression, not antidepressants? Imagine the work output you can create compared to others when naturally you know that you can turn 2 hours of work into 4. Psychotherapy and a focus on organization are also really big support platforms. If you get anything from this, just understand you are different. Others don't have the same deck of cards that you do. You aren't a bad player, you're just held back by something that is not your fault. A habit that's been so reinforced, it's destroyed you.